Hi, Ali. Welcome to the GoingOB podcast. Today, I've got a friend on that I've known for a couple of years now. We met at a Kent golf driving range winter practice. I hadn't picked up a golf club in absolutely ages. Ali was new to the county and was invited to come and play, and we were just boshed into the same driving range little, what do they call it, cubicle, is it?
I get oh gosh, I can't think
You
of the
know what
word
it
now.
is, like
Bay.
bay,
Bay, there
bay,
you go.
thank you. And the rest is history, as they say. We've remained friends, which is amazing considering my personality. But
And foursome partners, to be honest. I'm surprised we've made friends still.
yeah, I know exactly. So yeah, we met a couple of years ago. Well, coming on to a couple of years now, isn't it? And
Yeah.
yeah, we've got a really nice special bond. But anyway, today is not just about Ali and I and our relationship. This is about Ali and her growing up in the golf industry, what she's done, how long she's been playing, what she's been able to achieve. And I've really enjoyed looking over your highlights and things, but I just wanted to hear it really from the horse's mouth. What a lovely term. Um, Now, looking at one of the articles I saw that you did with Lady Golfer, I saw that you obviously grew up in Orlando, which I know, and you were destined to play golf starting at 6 years old. You picked up a golf club. I mean, were you even strong enough at 6 years old to pick up a golf club?
I don't even remember because everyone always asks me if any of my parents played golf, but honestly, neither one of them do. My granddad played way back in the day, but I never saw him play golf. And everyone always goes, "You're so young when you started." And the going joke is my parents were absolutely shocked when I asked to play some golf. I think when my mom used to go to the store and my dad was just watching me for a few hours, he used to go to the driving range that was like 5 minutes down the road. And I think I just sit there and like probably play with Barbies and just kind of get outside, watch my dad hit a few shots. He's not any good. I mean, he hits it all right, but he's never had a handicap or anything. And yeah, then I danced for a year. And then my mom's like, "Do you want to dance again?" And I said, "No, I wanted to play golf." And I went to like a Saturday morning, like roll up that they still have nowadays. And yeah, no, I ended up meeting a few friends there and picked up the game
I
from there.
find it so bizarre that a 6-year-old was like, yeah, do you know what? I think I'm just going to take up golf. Like, it's
Honestly, I
just,
don't think anyone's ever said
it's
it.
so random. I mean, like you say, it's like horse riding, dancing, jazz, anything like that that's girly. And because let's face it, it's not the most attractive game to pick when you're 6 years old.
But the kids nowadays have it so good though. The clothes are so good. I remember you probably had a pair of these. Do you remember I think they were FootJoy golf shoes, boys, and they had like a brown top on top.
Yeah, like a top, like a flap.
Yeah, it was like a brown flap. That was the only golf shoes they had for kids back in the
Oh
day.
my God.
And then I remember I had to probably questionably put on some like golf clothes from some stores thinking like I could get away with them. But no, yeah, I remember that. There was just nothing. And now kids nowadays have so
Oh
much.
my goodness. I mean, the fashion side of it, that's what I think will draw more of the kids into it than anything else. I mean, there's
Yeah,
obviously
I think
some
Paula
fantastic,
Creamer did that, didn't they?
yeah, and
Paula
there's
Creamer
some
made a huge early.
amazingly beautiful as well, like role models for the golfers to be looking at. So anyway, enough about etc. etc. Let's talk about you winning the Florida Women's State Golf Association and Girls Junior Championship 4 times. I did not know this.
Well, my mom. I
I
feel like my mom's over my resume.
I did
Yeah, so
not
we
know
had
this.
so you had the Florida State Golf Association. So that was kind of I think when I was really, really little, that was just boys. And then you had the Florida Women's State Golf Association. That was just like the female side of it. They merged at one point. Yeah, so they used to do it. It used to be the best event of the year. It's probably still my favorite events I ever played in. But it was all girls. All the volunteers were ladies as well. So it was just there's basically the only men there were dads and brothers that were watching their like daughters and sisters play. But yeah, so I won that. I think the first time when I was 9.
What?
Um,
Oh
yeah,
my days.
you know what? And I will
Was
say,
everyone
God,
ill?
I would say I'm gonna say this on a podcast. No, it's even worse than this. I'm gonna say this on a podcast. It's gonna be so horrible. I won it, and it's the only time in my whole life I ever beat Lexi Thompson, and that is because she signed an incorrect scorecard. She said she got a 3 on a par 3, and she actually got a 4,
Oh my god.
and that is the only time I've ever beat her, and I'll never forget it to this day.
Oh my god, Ali.
I won it, yeah. So that I've known Lexi since I was, like, 7, but yeah, that happened when we were 9, and that's just the running joke with the whole thing. It's the only time I've ever beaten her.
Oh my good
Uh,
lord. So am I right in thinking if she'd have signed for like, a 4 rather than a 3, like if she'd have signed for the
well,
high
that would've she would've just counted the 4 and 7. You can sign for a
higher,
higher
you
score, you
can't
can't sign for a lower
yeah,
anymore.
that's right. I just wanted to know whether my knowledge was still correct on that. Oh my god,
Yeah.
what a claim to fame or not, but I don't know.
My claim to fame. Honestly, it's the best story I have about that tournament. And then, yes, I won that when I was 9, and then I think I won it again when I was 12. When it I mean, those remember, those are like 9-hole events.
Yeah.
And then I think I won it again when I was 14 and 15, and then those were 18-hole events. So
Oh,
it's really fun. On the trophies and stuff, you have players like Vicky Hurst on it.
wow.
Trying to think who else was on it. But yeah, pretty much anyone that came from Florida on the LPGA tour has won that,
Oh my god,
which is fun.
oh, that's
And then there's
really
me.
no, Ali, that's do you know, so after grad so you went off and you played you went and played college golf at
Stetson.
Stetson, not
Stetson.
Stanson, Stetson
Yeah,
University.
Stetson. Oh,
Tell me a bit about that, like the highs, the lows, like what you loved and what you hated.
you know what? It was really fun. I met some of my best friends there, which is one of the coolest things. I think that's probably the best thing I ever took out of it. Someone always told me right before I went to uni, they said you'll never remember what you learned in the classroom, but you'll remember outside the classroom. And I think that is probably the best piece of advice
Oh my god.
anyone ever gave me, 'cause I couldn't tell you what I took in class.
Oh
I
my
remember the classes
days.
I took, but I don't remember what I learned. But no, it was fun. You know what? It's a hard lifestyle because you go from junior golf where you kind of get to choose when you practice, when you play in tournaments, you get to choose, like, if you're feeling ill, you just don't go. But in college golf, it's a lot different because I remember we've had someone had the flu. I had to pick up golf balls out the hole for people because their head was just hurting so bad. Not from a night
No.
out, but just they had the flu. But it was one of those things that it was a really good experience. I don't know if I would ever do it again because I think there's some things in it I just don't agree with. I think that when I did it, we did a lot of lifting because it might be different for other schools, it might be different now, but we only had like one strength and conditioning coach for all the teams. So you have this guy that, only really cares about the male sports like football, soccer, baseball. So we would show up to these like workouts and he'd be like, okay, this is what football did today. Just like move around the weights and do it for yourself. So it wasn't really golf specific things.
Right, okay.
So I got hurt just from like, because I would just do all they would want you to do is try to max out. So I remember we were doing squats and I had never done squats before, like with an actual bar. We would do it with like a ball and, all the medicine balls and stuff. But I ended up just trying to max out as much as I could. And I would just hurt my back every time. So it ended up taking, I think, like 3 years for us to actually get golf specific workouts. But we would
Wow.
do like core. And I think if you talk to a lot of golfers now, all they do is core.
Yeah.
And we did one. We just lifted and lifted and lifted. So in that aspect, I didn't like that. But then, yeah, you're forced to just play tournaments, here, there, everywhere. Your teachers sometimes just wouldn't understand it. And you'd be like, I don't just sit there. You're playing a 36-hole day.
Yeah.
I don't have time to write a report. And they come back and wonder why you didn't write it. So, but there was some great things. We got to play in some incredible golf courses and you get to travel with your friends basically.
Yeah. I think
But
that's
I enjoyed it.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
You know what? My education got paid for. That's probably the biggest thing out of it. My education got paid for,
that's
which I'll always be indebted to that.
yeah, that's amazing.
So,
That's amazing. So, but typically how much would a Stetson college university degree cost?
so you get a bill at the final year,
Yeah.
like on your final day of school, they send you a bill, and obviously it has a total amount, and it's zero. It was zero for me. It was over $200,000. because I went to a private university.
Oh my
So it
lord.
was about $56,000 a year.
Wow.
Yeah, it was expensive.
And did you have any of the girls that weren't, on a scholarship, or were there, because
I
that's
think we had, because you would have, you'd have someone who get academic
yeah,
money. So we had good grades. Like even though like I was on a full golf scholarship, once you divvied up my scholarship info, I was only really on like a 20% golf.
right, okay.
I got so much academic and stuff like that. So I think by the end of my last year, I think all of us were on
That's really good.
full scholarships
Yeah.
technically. I think so, but it was one of those things you never
Yeah,
really
you didn't
asked.
really talk about, no.
Yeah, if you weren't on a full scholarship, you didn't really ask for it.
So,
But
coming out of university, how did you feel about your golf? What was your sort of like aspirations? Like to what were you wanting to do straight out of uni?
it's one of those things that you kind of have a bit of an identity crisis, don't you? So you end up leaving, you've played golf your whole life. You've worked for, your last 3 or 4 years of junior golf with the idea that I want to play college golf. So you're working for 3 years because you want a scholarship. Then you achieve that. And then you're at uni and you're just like, okay, let's just keep playing and playing and playing. But after that, you're kind of like, what do I do? So I went through, because I ended up getting really injured, that like I hurt my back, didn't really play. And I kind of went through a bit of an identity crisis. Like, I don't know what to do with my life now. So I ended up working after, not really playing golf. To be honest, I worked for about a year, came home, thought maybe I'll give golf a go again. Did it about 6 months, and the money's just not there. Even if you want to play, like I was still an amateur and I didn't really play in any tournaments. I was just practicing.
Mm,
But when you start to actually look at how much it cost, like where you have to travel, it just wasn't the lifestyle I wanted.
yeah.
So, and then you go from literally all your whole life is around golf to, well, now I don't play anymore. And it's really sad though, because I was looking back on, I still have on social media so many girls I grew up golfing with. None of them play.
Yeah.
I would say probably out of every 10 girls I golfed with, maybe one plays still,
Mm.
and they'll just play for fun. And it's really sad because there's no kind of transition from playing and golf is your whole life to essentially that's it. You just cut and play cold
I
turkey.
think it's difficult as well that sometimes, like, say if you don't automatically go from university, leaving on a high, to going straight to tour school because that's what you want to do, and say if you've had your last year of university playing and you've achieved well and etc., and you feel great and you've gone straight on and then you've got your tour card, that's absolutely ideal scenario. It's not going to happen for many people out there at all. Um,
No.
and then I think for women in particular as well, not all women, and this is by far, not saying that all women feel like this, but like you say, you get that identity crisis of like, well, okay, what do I actually want to do? Like I always knew that. I mean, my golf career kind of flowed. I didn't go to university, so therefore I was able just to carry on playing golf at the level I was, and I went from England squad to GBNI squad to playing for Europe to representing England, and went to tour school and got my tour card. It was almost like a dream scenario for me, but then got injured at 26, and then my sort of like identity crisis happened. I was like, "Okay, I'm not a professional golfer. What what do I do? What
Yeah.
do I do?" And I always knew that I wanted a family, and I always knew that I wanted children by the time I was 30. So I was like, "Right, okay." John and I had been together since we were 16. We were like, "Okay, well, should we get married?" And he was like, "Yeah, that sounds great." So we got married and I had 2 kids. It was not quite like that. Yeah, he's butting in the background saying it's not quite how it happened, but no. I but then I had these children at the age of 30, and it's wonderful and it's magical and it's incredible. But it wasn't until I started playing golf with you again and my old personality sort of like snuck back in, like,
Yeah.
the
You kind of
immaturity.
just go right back to it.
Yeah,
Because I think, because when you've had your identity crisis, you were at 26. You're an adult, aren't you? At
yeah,
26, you've gone through a lot. But you have to think, imagine that happening at someone that's 22.
yeah.
But I think one thing is golf takes up so much
Mm,
time. You know, a round of golf is at least 4 hours. In college golf, it's like 6.
mm.
You don't even have time for a job.
No.
So I think a lot of times, like at 22, when you have this identity crisis of like, where do you go? And I think it's every athlete in college, you know, you've probably never had a job
No.
because during the summer you're playing golf or you're playing your sport or, you know, I know like baseball players, they go and play for summer teams. You go through this identity crisis at 22 and you actually feel like you're way behind all of your other friends that don't play sports because at least if you look at their CV,
Yeah.
they've actually done
Yeah, they've
something.
done a job and they've got some.
Oh, I've never tried to like I've had to blag my CV for so long because I was like, "Oh my God, I haven't actually done
Yeah.
anything." They always tell you, "Oh, being a student athlete's a great thing. It shows you have good time management." No one really
No.
cares. I think that's the hard part. Like they're all interested, but they'll never give you a job because you actually have no
Yeah.
experience.
Yeah.
You know, you don't work with customers or anything like that.
So
So it's really hard.
so let's get back on track with where you're at right now. I know we've gone from going from college to what you do, what were you wanting to do and etc. But you fell into club fitting and staying within the golf sort of industry. How have you found that? What companies did you approach? What companies took you on? And yeah, yeah, just let's start with just
Yeah.
those.
Oh, I don't really know. To be honest, when I moved over here, I was looking for a visa to be completely black and white. I needed a visa in there and I didn't, you know, I was applying for job after job after job and I kept getting rejected. And a lot of it's because I didn't have the experience. Because at the time I was working for Disney because I lived in Orlando and I was really enjoying that. But I kind of went, oh, I wasn't even golf on the radar really. I was thinking, oh, I don't really want to get back into golf. And then I ended up seeing a job for Yonex. So they mostly do tennis, don't
Yeah.
they? But they do have a golf section. And I saw there was a job for a club fitter. And I was like, oh, maybe I could go back into golf. It's the one thing I actually feel like I'm qualified for compared to everything else. So I was like, oh, I could probably blag my way into it. And then, yeah, I mean, you know, one thing led to another. I ended up getting the job and it was in custom fitting for like all of their clubs. And I always find it so ironic because as a child, whenever I walked into a fitting, I could have cared less about the numbers. I just kind of went, let me know I'm a field player, let me know what it is, and I'll pass it along to mom and dad, and they'll just buy it for me.
Yeah.
And I sound horrible saying that. So I went into this club fitting role, sitting there thinking, by God, I didn't believe in this when I was a kid. I
Yeah.
just kind of went, oh, you fit me, and I'll just let me know what it is.
Yeah.
So I kind of had to get out of that mindset that I'm like, okay, well, now this is my job. I need to be able to fit someone. So I ended up doing that for about a year and a half, just over a year. And then I was approached by Callaway to join their squad. And I was like, okay, I always played with Callaway as a kid, most of the time. Huge Tiger fan. So when he partnered with Nike for golf clubs, I did transition over. And they all know what to do at Callaway. But I was like, okay, you know, Callaway is one of the best companies in the world for golf clubs. So I was like, let me make the transition over. And I remember after the first week working with them, I just sat there and thought, oh my God, I have no idea what actually custom fitting is. I have one
Really?
coworker that is so knowledgeable, and I thought, oh, I could spend hours on this and I won't be able to get it. But year later, well, no one's complained that much about me, so I
No,
don't think I'm doing that bad of a job.
I, you know,
Fantastic.
I have no knowledge on custom fit at all.
No, you're such a field player.
And
It's really fun playing with you because I've switched now. Like, I love a bit of field playing, but I always think I would have been a hell of a golfer
if you
if I
knew.
would have just understood what a golf club does.
Yeah, see, I don't. And I think that's what makes us work so well, actually. I really do. I think because we are
Yeah.
complete chalk and cheese. Um, I remember that, and it makes me sound like I'm an absolutely useless golfer and an even more useless partner. I remember this one chip and run, and you saw it, and I was slightly behind the tree. We were playing foursome, so you'd put me behind the tree, and you
Yeah, well,
and you were like, just do one of those like little chip and runs where you put a little bit more spin on it, like right to left, so it bounces against the left to right bounce, and then it will go up on the green. And I looked at you, and I was like, I have not got that in my golf bag right now. I literally just wanna make contact with this chip and run. Please
Yeah.
don't require me to do anything fancy, any wizardry with this golf club. I just need to make decent enough contact that you've got a putt.
And for the record, you didn't sound that friendly when you said that back to me. There was probably a few other words you told
It was
me.
actually there's
I
probably
had just put you behind the tree after you put me in the dead middle of the fairway off the tee, and I thought, "Oh, whoops."
but,
Oh, no. Yeah, it's just one of those things, though, that, you know, I am really lucky. I work with a bunch of people that are so knowledgeable
mm.
that we all learn from each other.
But so are you
And
now. I think you don't give yourself enough credit now on just how well you have stepped into a really competitive market, and you turn up to these golf clubs that more than likely 9 times out of 10 are not expecting a young, attractive female to be fitting them some golf clubs that are gonna cost them a hell of a lot. And
yeah, no, they are sometimes. I remember last year that because when we book in a fitting day with someone, we go on like the back end of the system and we create this like online fitting form. So, you know, the club can just email it out to all the members. They can just sign up online. And I remember all last year when I used to put in, it would put like I'd have to put my email address to get notifications of who signed up. And then it would ask for the fitter's name. And I always last year used to put like Callaway fitting specialist.
yeah,
So they didn't know it was a female. And this year I just went, "Oh, you know what? Just put my own name," because at this point they know me because they've met me. But the amount of people that have come up and they go, "Oh, hello." And I always tell my coworker, I'm like, I constantly have to slide in what my handicap is
yeah.
just from chatting.
Mm.
I said, because then they'll actually take me seriously.
Go on, tell us what your handicap is now.
Oh, well, I'm sitting on +3 right now, but
What?
I have my Prince's 9 under that's going out next, and I'm like, "Oh god, I have to put a good one, keep it there."
Oh my
So,
goodness, +3. That's good.
no,
That's good.
I
That's
know it's
good.
not fun giving back shots though.
No.
On par threes, I'm like, "It's a 2." I don't have a 2 in me that often.
That
I'm like, "Can I have another par 5?" I'm much more likely for a 4 on a par 5 than a
exactly.
2 on a par 3.
So, okay, I'm gonna have a look at some of these, sort of questions I had. I think we've already touched on whether we think it's harder for women in the club fitting industry. It is anyway. I think people just generally associate with club fitting numbers, et cetera, and I know it's really sexist, and I know it's but it is just the way it is.
Yeah,
I know probably even still, I mean, and I know you, if you were rocking up and fitting me with clubs, I know you, I'd be more than happy. Your numbers are incredible, like how quickly you work, how you explain it. But would I put my trust in I don't know if I'd put my trust in anyone, male or female. I've literally been fitted by Jeff Waddington since I was 16. Now I think he's
yeah.
retiring from Ping like this year or next year. Like,
Oh, really?
Ali, I'm going to you, that you're the next person I know that will fit me.
I think it's hard to find someone like, if you've used someone for a really long time, it's really hard to trust them
Mm,
in it. Because I think sometimes as well is that when I do rock up to a day, sometimes people go, "Oh, all right." And I think sometimes they think females don't understand like the really like
intricate.
heavy golf clubs.
Yeah.
Like you're really, really big brawly guys that you sit there and think, by God, you could probably bench press me. And they're wanting like 120-gram X and they're looking at me and they look at my bag and I have my 75-gram graphite.
Yeah.
Like I find it really interesting. But then you get on the other end of the spectrum, ladies really trust you
Yeah.
because they don't think that I'm going to try to put them in these big brawly clubs.
Mm,
So it's a little bit of a give and take. But then sometimes, like, we always have this chat that, when I get called, they'll always be like, "Oh, the female club fitter.
yeah.
Well, we'll see you." And I'm thinking, do you need to call me the female club fitter? I'm just a club fitter.
Yeah.
So we always get in this big discussion sometimes, at work and whatnot, whether or not you should genderize it, because they'll never call and be like, "Oh, the male club fitter's here
Yeah.
for you to see." They'll always be like, "Oh, the female is." And I'm like,
I
I
just
don't really care.
I
I'm not that bothered in life.
yeah.
Uh, but I do sit there sometimes and think, "Oh no, you know what? Just call me a club fitter
Yeah,
because I do
just
the exact same job as my male
yeah,
coworkers."
exactly. I'd agree with that as well. Um,
Yeah.
your golf. I had just your golf question mark. I mean, playing off +3, having a golf club in your hand all the time, I definitely have seen the hunger for your competitiveness and your drive to start competing more and performing in tournaments. And I mean, going from the Aramco and watching you play there with just absolute balls of steel and the nerves being kept under control. It was just such a privilege. Like, I was so proud to watch you play that and just play it so well. And, I would love to see, I mean, you've played in quite a bit more last year than I did, quite a bit more actually. I only played in one event, but,
Hard to beat you. If you play it too, I played in double the amount you have.
um, so, and yeah, I just, I'm excited to see what you're going to do this year. And we spoke about schedules earlier in the week, like last week. We're hoping to go up and play a couple of events together this year as well. But what do what have you given your goals for this year?
You know what? I find it really hard because last year, like when I was working with Yonex 2 years ago, I had a lot more free time than I did. So I had, a lot more free time to go out and practice and stuff. And last year, I was kind of getting my feet, wet with Callaway and trying to get my bearings down. And I realized I didn't have as much time as I wanted. So I had to be really purposeful with practicing. And it's probably going to be the same thing this year. So, goals wise, I'd like to play in maybe a few, I call them like a little tier, like me and Steve call them like tier events. You have your county level, then you have like your regional tournaments, and then you have like your national and then international events. So I think I've kind of sat on like, the regional events. So I think this year I'd like to hop up and maybe play in a few England events. I think I want to play in the English stroke play this year and, not only play, but actually compete.
Yeah, that's the difference.
There's I'd like to make the cut, I sit there and think, okay, can I win it? I think I'd have to play my best golf. And I don't want to say I'm at a disadvantage because I don't have the time they do to practice and sit there.
But that's a
I know my,
huge that's a huge point though. You haven't got the
it's
time
a huge
now.
thing. No, and I don't have the time. And, me and Steve always argue about it and the idea that he's just like, no, but your game's there. Don't use that as an excuse, age and where you're at in life. But it is really hard to find time. Like, I cannot tell you last time I sat there and putted for an hour.
Yeah.
If I do, I'd be so excited.
Mm.
So I think for me, it's just, making sure that every single time I go out there, my goal is just to make sure that I give it my all and I make sure that I do, what I'm supposed to do out there. And I think if I, do the shots and commit to the shots and, perform the shots that I want to, the scores just come into place.
Yeah.
I think that's one thing, but, I just really want to enjoy it.
Yeah.
I think for, when you're playing junior golf and you're playing college golf and, high level golf, you you sometimes don't enjoy it because there's so much pressure on you.
Absolutely.
Last year, I think in my mind, I was playing in all these events and I kept thinking, God, no matter what I shoot, I have to go back to work tomorrow.
Yeah.
I'm hearing my phone vibrate in my golf bag and I'm thinking, I don't want to answer
No.
that. I'm off today.
Yeah.
And I know someone has some issue and I'm like, you know what? I actually am in such a cool boat because, if you try to flip it on the side that I don't practice enough as much as they do, on the flip side, I actually have nothing to play
No,
for.
that's right.
I can just go out and have fun, can't we?
Yeah,
And I think
absolutely.
that's what makes it so much fun for us when we go to county week and stuff like that because we don't have to report back a score to another coach and go, oh, sorry, we didn't practice 4 hours this week. When we go out there, this is our fun golf,
Yeah,
isn't it?
it is.
What we
It
really enjoy, and that's what they want us to
Yeah,
have as well, is
they
they want us
do.
to have fun.
And I think actually in some respects it's way more freeing and like, it's almost more dangerous to come up against people that haven't got those um things to fight against, like to have to perform, to have to put a score in. It makes you like go, well, do you know what? I'm gonna do it because if it comes off, I'm shooting 4 under. If it doesn't, I'll probably shoot 1 under. Like whatever. It really doesn't matter to us. It's not gonna get us. I mean, potentially, we could get into maybe an England team at some point when I'm older,
The senior team.
senior team when I'm older. But,
Team.
at this moment in time, it's not going to get me into the England girls or the women's squad because they're all early 20s.
Yeah.
The England ladies squad is all early 20s. There is no
Yeah.
room for a 41-year-old has-been. And at the end of the day, I think that sometimes that does I mean, you're a lot younger than me. You've got way more to give in your golf, and I only see you getting better and better. And actually, having not as much time to practice, like you'll say, your practice will become more purposeful. you'll be able to say, right, actually, I've noticed that I need to do this, and you'll only concentrate on that, and that will improve it. And
Yeah.
you'll probably find that you'll have a great season this year, and I'm really excited to watch it. Um,
Yeah.
right,
Excited for it. I think
go on.
it's one of those things that it's just yeah, I think we just live in a very different world, and I think
Yeah,
it's a really exciting world because we go out to county week and we play against, England squad girls, didn't we,
yeah,
this year?
yeah, we did.
And they're actually wondering how they need to play foursomes in case they get picked for a foursomes team.
Yeah,
And then you get two people that really we were never going to get picked for an England ladies squad,
yeah.
you know, and we beat them, and they're probably sitting there going,
Oh
"Oh
my
my god."
god. Yeah, exactly.
We're just like, "Oh, good. Can we have a drink after the
Yeah,
round?"
yeah, yeah, I'm just gonna
Oh,
have my beef jerky and my dates and, just, can we have an alcoholic drink when we get
yeah.
in? Please, just one.
I think that's yeah, I always think if you probably looked at every single person we play
Mm.
county weekends, we probably laugh the
Oh,
most.
we
Like, our
do.
whole team
Yeah,
does,
we
I
do
think
not stop. We had
yeah.
the best time this year, and, I mean, honestly, I just absolutely hope and pray we get Marilyn again because we had the best time. I mean, we missed Steve. We absolutely 100% missed Steve. To have Steve and Tim and Marilyn there, like, honestly, my cheeks are already hurting now because I just
I
know
know.
we'd have such a good laugh. That's if I even get picked, by the way. I have to absolutely pull my
Not funny if you don't, but I don't think anyone sees a county week without you there because I think we'd all protest if you're not.
right, look, I've absolutely loved this chat. I'm gonna ask you, so the whole point about this going OB is one, obviously, to get to know you and what you do within the golf industry and how you got there, but also going out of bounds. Like, I'm going to ask you three questions that are kind of about, but not about golf. So here we go. Your question number one. If you weren't a golfer or in the golf industry, what would you be doing right now?
Um, you know what? I would have my own photography business again because I had that after I think it was during COVID. Yeah. So when I worked at Disney, I was a photographer.
Right. Okay.
And then during COVID, when I got laid off from Disney, I just thought, you know what, start my own photography business. And I absolutely loved it. I can't do it in the UK on my visa. So
Oh,
that's why I don't have it anymore. But yeah, if I didn't play golf or work in the golf industry, oh, I'd 100% go back to that. I absolutely love it.
and I've seen your photos of South Africa at the safari, and they are incredible. So yeah, they're just absolutely beautiful. Right, okay. So now, okay, this one is about golf, but it's kind of different. What is your biggest ick on or off the golf course?
Oh no.
And if it's something that I do, I really apologize.
I was like, what does Dan do that really
I
gets me the
read
ick
your
on the golf?
mind.
Um, you know what? The biggest thing that gets me the ick, and you're gonna laugh at this one, is people just not respecting the golf course. You
Okay.
know, when we get out there and we get out there at sunrise, greenskeepers are already there.
Mm,
They are already there working on the golf course. And my biggest ick is when someone just doesn't respect the golf course or how hard someone works.
yeah.
It's fixing pitch marks and, filling divots. It's doing stuff like that, replacing things where they need to be replaced. If you take a OB stake out, put it
Yeah.
back. It's the thing that just gives me the ick. It doesn't take much time in life to do it. And you know what? You've made the pitch mark, fix it.
Yeah.
When I play with Ally McGurk, she always tells me, when you fix one, fix another.
Yeah. Oh, it's
So
absolutely like, or if you can't find yours, you just fix the one that you could, or like a couple that you can find. It's
yeah.
such an easy bit of etiquette. And if
Mm,
everyone adopted that, I mean, goodness me, the greens would be incredible. Even on like pay
yeah.
and play courses, it would be amazing.
Yeah. The thing is as well, I think people people are the first people to complain or raking a bunker actually
Oh,
probably is
oh
sick.
my God,
I
raking
was
a
like
bunk.
lady
Yeah.
yesterday. So I think we were the second or third tee times out, get into a bunker and I'm in a footprint. I'm like, good God, people, it's the second or third tee time of the day.
Yeah.
That's just, it's just respecting the golf course because those are the people that would be the first to complain
Yeah.
about something.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
Absolutely.
well, if you maybe did it, then we wouldn't have this issue.
Yeah. Yeah. You're absolutely
So
right. Okay, and it's not obvious to any of our listeners, but Ali's actually getting married this year. Um,
woohoo.
and I have a question for her. I just really need to know this. Are you going to be a bride Zilla or are you going to be a bride Chilla?
I've already been yeah, I think I'm a bride Chilla, but I have already been called a bridezilla, both by Steve and my mom, and I've
Oh my
already been sent, like, funny gifts of bridezillas,
oh my
but I'm
god.
not, 'cause I've watched Say Yes to the Dress for years, and I am not one of those people.
Oh my god. Well, do you know what? I think so far it's been bright chiller from my point of view. I mean, I know you're gonna have loads and loads to organize, and the closer it gets, the more sort of like, the nerves start going and the stress and stuff like that. But I think you're pretty chill in general anyway. So,
You know what? I just realized I told my parents yesterday, I tried so hard not to turn into my mom. I'm turning into my dad. And my dad is just military OCD. If he wants it done, he wants it done right, and he wants it in the way that he wants it. And that's where I think I get called a bridezilla. But I'm like, no, no, I just want to make
yeah,
sure so that if something happens, I don't want to have to redo it.
yeah,
So I'm like, if I'm harsh with you, it's because you're doing it wrong,
okay. Basically.
basically.
Well,
So yeah, I'm turning into bridezilla. I'm
okay,
realizing.
you're morphing. You're morphing from
Yeah,
the chiller to the Zilla,
yeah, yeah.
basically.
It's like Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde. You never know what you're gonna
Yeah.
get
Well,
day to day.
this is perfect. Like, as long as I know,
Yeah,
I'm just, I just needed to know.
yeah,
Well,
yeah. No.
Ali, look, thank you so much for coming on to the Going OB podcast. It's been an absolute pleasure to talk to you as always, and I hope you've enjoyed yourself. Um,
Thank
and
you.
hopefully get to talk to you again soon.
Yes.